So 7 months, 1 series, 2 DLC, and a hell of a lot of thought later, here we are, finally announcing COVEA Season 2. Real quick for anyone new to the channel, hi, welcome, my name's Brad, and this is actually my second season of COVEA. The first season was on an old channel, started around April last year, and this was the first series that I ever did on YouTube. So it just wasn't good, to be honest. I had a crappy mic, low resolution, clunky editing, and not really knowing how to make things look good in Planet Zoo. All that stuff led up to the series not really being something I'm proud of, but that doesn't matter anymore because this is a new season, a new zoo, and I've learned an absolute truck ton since then. Anyways, let's talk about what we're actually building in today's episode, which is an entrance to COVEA. Oh, and in case you don't know what COVEA stands for, which if you're new you definitely don't, it stands for the Conservation of Vulnerable Endangered Animals. So the animals that I want in this zoo are vulnerable to critically endangered. Anything other than that isn't really necessary, but for example, if I have a hippo habitat, which I will be making eventually, I might want to put in some flamingos with that, and that kind of thing is just fine. Point is, I'm not going to limit myself to just have endangered or vulnerable animals, but that's what I will be doing for the most part, because the point is conservation. Anyway, the entrance. What does it look like? What are we building? What has been going on in the background of this whole thing? Well, last season of COVEA, we didn't really cater it towards the guests, because the goal was conservation. I didn't really care about the people, and at that point when I was playing the game, I didn't really enjoy making buildings and stuff like that. All I wanted to do was make cool looking habitats and put animals in them, which all around, pretty good philosophy. Screw the people, make the animals happy, the world's a better place. But this time we are going to be making it more of an actual zoo. Like I said, we're building an entrance, we will in the future be building a car park, plenty of shops, plenty of places to rest, actually thinking about that kind of thing, which we just didn't do before. Not only do I think that will make the zoo look better in general, I also think it will kind of make more sense. I mean, conservation can be a very expensive thing, especially when we get to animals like pandas, which need very specifically designed habitats. I'm sure you guys know a decent amount about that if you're watching Planet Zoo. But in order to actually feed and care for these animals properly, you would need some kind of funding that wouldn't really be able to come from a charity. I mean, a lot of endangered or vulnerable animals come from these really exotic climates. For example, if we have a polar bear or a snow leopard in the zoo, sure, we could just have it as a kind of mountainous habitat, but this zoo is set in South America, and that would not at all be good for a snow leopard. So to be able to build a facility that could hold a snow leopard and keep that environment cool would be very expensive. So to make it a zoo actually makes a lot more sense now. Also, before we get into the more interesting parts of this build, here's a shameless self-promotion. If you do find yourself enjoying this video, feel free to subscribe, like, comment, and all that jazz. You can even join the Discord, which is linked in the description below. Moving on. We are just about done with the main structure of the entrance now, but I wanted to make something that really kind of defined it, because at the moment it's a pretty simple entrance, and to be honest, it kind of still is, but I wanted to make something that tells you this is COVEA, this is the Conservation of Vulnerable Endangered Animals. And this is how I did it. I built the COVEA logo on the front of the entrance out of little recolorable pieces, and I think it looks really cool. I was really proud of this. It's been a good while. I've kind of already recorded all of episode 1, 2, and 3 of this series. I've kind of been playing this map since early January. I've not really had time to work on it, and I've had to work on transitioning channel, making new thumbnails for the Subnautica series, all that jazz, which I've really enjoyed doing, but I'm really excited to actually get back into this and be able to release the zoo, because I really want to show you guys the stuff that I've built so far. Not going to tell you what any of those are today, but it's looking so much better than season 1. All around, I'm just really proud of it, and I have a lot of future plans on what to do. Although, actually, now that I'm saying it out loud, this is the old logo. At the point I built this was the logo, but I actually got Soup, who I'm going to link in the description, to redesign the COVEA logo, or actually the shape is pretty much the same, but he just drew it from scratch. You guys saw that at the start of the video. It looks way better, and to be honest, if I was to try build that in Planet Zoo, I don't think I'd be able to do it. So I just went with the typical green anyway. I didn't try to change it. I'm going to keep it that way because I think it just looks fine, and with the lighting that backs it, it just looks good. It's simple. Your eye gets drawn to it. I'm not going to change that. I think making it just green like the old logo works just fine. But yeah, long story short, I'm just really proud of building this logo, and I think it really puts a bit of a signature on the entrance to the zoo instead of making it really generic. Also, in case you haven't noticed, that number with the X in front of it in the top left is the speed of the footage. That's going to change throughout the episodes. Some episodes I'll only spend an hour on because the builds are pretty simple, but they still take enough time. Some episodes, like episode 3 for example, covers a very large area, so I want to speed up that footage a lot more, but I can kind of change it as the episode goes on. So hopefully you guys like that too. I'm aware that most of the people watching this are probably going to be new to the channel and probably didn't watch season 1, and that's fine, but these are all changes to season 1 that I'm making now to try and make it a bit better. So I want to know if you guys think it's worth the effort of doing, or if you like that change, etc. Same goes with the music that's in the background. It's a lot better than last time in my opinion, not quite as boring, so hopefully you like that too. Lots of ranting this episode, I am well aware. But back to talking about the logo, you might think, Brad, this thing, you're a stickler for things being symmetrical. This thing's not symmetrical. Why didn't you make it symmetrical, Brad? Well, you're gonna hate me for telling you this, but the original COVEA logo that I based this off also isn't symmetrical. And it's Planet Zoo, so let's be honest, who really cares? It's pretty close. It's a pretty difficult thing to make a perfectly symmetrical thing like this, or anything for that matter. And not that that was an issue in the last zoo, but I'm trying to make this zoo very much not symmetrical. It's going to be very different. Certain builds, maybe they will be symmetrical, but the whole zoo as a whole, that's smart. I'm going to keep that in. The zoo as a whole isn't going to be symmetrical, which, let's be honest, no zoo is, and I think that's just fine. And you'll be able to see in the background, I've had so many issues with paths. Pathing is the most annoying thing in Planet Zoo. You guys will know that if you played it or watched anyone else play it. Paths suck to work with. They suck. I did eventually get it working, and I did cut out most of the issues that I had with it, but right now we are making this left side upper elevated bit where you can walk up onto the wall and look out into the zoo, into a habitat. I'm not going to tell you what that habitat is, I have already built it though. But this kind of entrance idea with the path looking over into the zoo, into a habitat, was inspired by Yorkshire Wildlife Park, like I said, and I'm going to show you how. Hopefully this will work. I've never done it before, but I want to try to do this kind of thing more often throughout this series, whether it be putting pictures up on screen or telling you guys where I got inspiration from, that kind of thing. And in this instance, I've actually gone onto Google Maps and tried to show you guys what I'm doing, kind of explain it in first person. So let's hope this works. But you can see this is the car park to Yorkshire Wildlife Park, and then over here you've got the entrance. You actually walk down this line, through this path, and down that corridor. That's where you go to the entrance, that's where you get your tickets, you pay, all that jazz. This building here is actually the gift shop and exit. But when you're lining up along this long wooden wall that you can see over here, the opposite side of that is actually the lion habitat. Now obviously it's an opaque wooden wall, you can't see through it, but there are gaps throughout, and I remember when I was a child, I would constantly be trying to peek through the gaps and get a look at the lions before we get into the actual zoo, and that's something that I wanted to do here. Of course it's not quite the same because it's not along the actual queue, but basically I wanted a way that people could look into the zoo before actually entering it and get excited about the animals. So a pretty simple explanation, but I just wanted to tell you guys where I got it from, and hopefully this thing was a decent enough quality. But believe it or not, that is about all I have to talk about for today's episode. I know it was kind of a weird one. Well, I guess not really a weird one because you guys don't know what the rest of them are going to be like, but I'm just going to leave you guys with the music. We'll have some cinematics at the end. I'm going to do my best to release these episodes every Tuesday at 7 PM GMT up until the 23rd of April, which is when the cinematics of Nautica episodes will be doubling up in order for the series to be over the week before Subnautica Below Zero's release. I plan to have 2 episodes a week out for that game, so look forward to that, and once the series is over we'll have a clean slate to go ahead and do whatever the hell we want afterwards. But yes, I hope you guys all enjoyed. I'm really excited to get this series off the ground. Thank you all for watching, I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, sub, like, comment, do all that jazz, and if you want to stay updated with what's going on with the channel, join the Discord via the link in the description. But that is all for today, enjoy the rest of the video, bye guys!